I am so excited to be opening the week of demos for the Bijoux Brilliance collection from McGrath Labs. So welcome, this is going to be the first demo video. In case you have no idea what I'm talking about because you have missed it, I'm doing a week of McGrath Bijoux Brilliance here on my channel, and I've already actually opened the week because I did the swatch party a couple of days ago. I can leave a link up to that here, but I have swatches of the Starstruck Splendor Mega Mothership as well as all the queens, because I figured it would be just too much to cover everything in one video. So we did the swatch party already, and now day by day I'm going to be going through all the palettes that I purchased. And I'm going to start off with the queens. After much consideration, I decided that I'm going to do one of the queens that I haven't actually used myself yet, because I did use Sunset Romance and Bronze Ecstasy already, and I remain very intrigued by Lunar Nightshade. So we are opening the week of Bijoux Brilliance with Lunar Nightshade. Another thing that I'm going to cover in this video, and I'm not going to mention anymore in the subsequent videos, is that I will always be starting off with applying bronzer, blush and highlighter, because a lot of you seem to enjoy those parts combined with the eyeshadows. I've already done the rest of my base makeup, and honestly, the rest of my base makeup has been pretty much the same for the past 1.5 to 2 months. So in case you wanted to see how I do my base makeup, just go and watch any of my previous videos. But for the sake of time, because I'm doing these videos before work and I will actually have a couple of early mornings this week because I will have meetings, I don't really have the time to cover everything. So I'm just going to be always starting off at the point where we apply bronzer. And with that said, I'm going to pull out my bronzer for the day, which is going to be the shade... I grabbed the wrong one, excuse me. Okay, now that I have the correct bronzer, this is going to be the shade Nude Honey that I'm going to use for the day with my beautiful Sonia G Hinoki brush here. This is one of the more neutral shades in Pet's collection, especially one that is suited for people of a lighter skin tone. I really enjoy this bronzer, and I think now, especially with the winter and fall months, this is going to get a lot of use. For my blush today, I am actually going to already be taking out the Mega Mothership in Starstruck Splendor, because I think that the shade Nymphette right here would actually fit perfectly with the look that I'm going for today. So I'm going to grab a blush brush and I'm going to go into the shade Nymphette. I don't have this blush shade in my collection. A lot of you have asked if this is the repeat blush for me. It is not. I haven't purchased this blush ever from Pat, so this is all completely new to me, and I'm actually really liking this shade. See, sometimes like swatches and people's undertones online can be so confusing. I actually thought I wouldn't really like this color, but I really do like it. It is quite a neutral mauve, and it seems to have a bit of a sheen going on to it. Similar to my beloved Desert Orchid, this seems to have pearl going through it. I'm going to have to check later, or maybe one of you can already correct me if that is not the case, but at least upon application it seems like I'm detecting a little bit of pearl here. I actually really like this shade. I don't know what you guys think, but I think it is beautiful. It looks a little bit like a flush with the absolute lightest hint of like mauve, but it's not too pink or too purple. And it resides a little bit in like neutral nudish territory without being too light. I actually really like this blush, you guys. Will I have to eat my own words and go into this Mega Mothership specifically for the shade Nymphette in the future? Probably I am. For highlighter, I'm also going to grab something new. This is my Dior Couture Luminizer in the shade Nude Glow. I purchased this recently. I did already demo it in my previous pet pairing video, but I think it's going to fit perfectly with this look, so I'm going to apply a little bit of that to highlight the cheekies. Beautiful. I just love looking at the texture of this highlighter. It is that gorgeous baked gelée. So before we get into the look, I want to just say a few things about the color story. Now, to me, this is a bit of a discombobulated color story. I don't want to say that this purple does not at all fit with any of the shades in here. I think you could really play around to do interesting things. For example, I think it would be very interesting to put this eyeshadow as a base and apply this one over top of that. I think that might create actually a very interesting duochrome. Individually, I think all the shades in here are very pretty. Even this shade is not as maroon as I thought. It's actually much more purple in real life, and I love that little blue sheen that's going through it. But because of the way I do my makeup and how I prefer my makeup, I would really like to have a neutral in here. But with that said, we don't need to have neutrals in all of the queens. We have plenty of neutrals. Even your bronzer would do to create a little bit of shading in your crease. So I'm not complaining that there is no neutral in here. I'm just saying that at first glance this color story may look a little bit disjointed and as if you don't know what to do with it. But honestly, if you look at it as two sort of like separate color stories, maybe it will make more sense. The way I see it, you have the trio of these eyeshadows here, which makes for like a purpley pinky look, and then you have these two which make the more blue look, and you can also consider this one together with these two sort of like a color story, because you can play around with like blue and purple to create sort of like duochromatic effects. I've zoomed you in, and before we start with the look, I'm just going to quickly mention I am not going to be using the purple shade today because it literally fits with nothing that I have on for the rest of my clothing and accessories. So we are mostly going to focus on these shades here, and we can use this one as an inner corner highlight. The plan is I want to test this eyeshadow as my liner. So if you've been around my channel, you know that sometimes I really like to push these kind of like darker eyeshadows here as a liner before I even do the rest of my look. And I think that's what I'm going to do today. However, in the end, we're also going to go over the whole look because this has sparkles in it which are definitely going to get lost if you layer things on it or you blend it out. But I'm going to do this one as a liner, and then on my lid I'm going to do a combination of the lighter blue golden sparkle and this taupe pink shade, just to see how they look together. I'm quite intrigued by both of them and I want to see both of them on my lid, so we're going for it. So first I'm going to take the dark black shade on a pencil brush. This is the pencil one from Sonia G, and I'm going to start working it here in the base of my lashes to create, you know, depth and definition there. And I'm not going to intensify it right now too much. I'm just going to lay it sort of as a little contour for myself later to know where I need to go over. And I'm also very curious if the blue sparkles are sticking around. Oh, I don't know whether you can see, but it seems like the blue sparkles are actually sticking to my lids really nicely. So this shade and the one in Bordeaux Bliss, like I suspected, to me personally would get the most use like this as liners, because I absolutely love the concept of having a black eyeshadow like this with the sparkles in it, but then as a liner. And what I really like about the formula of these two specific shades is that they feel very creamy, and because of that there's literally zero fallout. I don't know whether you can see, but there's not a single fleck of black or glitter on my face right now, and I think that has to do a lot with the formula of these being so creamy. Love it, because usually shades like this, when done in a more matte formula, have a ton of fallout and then the sparkles fly all over the place once you start blending them out. So I think it's really an advantage to have an eyeshadow like this in this specific formula if you enjoy this kind of look and you actually see the added bonus of those sparkles in the black eyeshadow. Okay, I think this is enough for now. We're going to go over it again later on. But now I'm going to grab the Worker 1 from Sonia G, which is a fluffy but also flat type of brush. And I'm going to pick up a little bit of the blue shade. So this one here, very gently. And I'm going to press it onto my lids and try to blend it through my crease. Now, because I have a lot of all of her queens basically so far, I know that this formula is actually quite forgiving for blending. You can really beautifully blend it through your crease, which is why I don't think that we're really going to need a transition shade. But you know, if a formula like this scares you to put through your crease, or you really want to put something neutral through your crease, then I would totally recommend at the very least to put your bronzer through your crease, if that's something that you are more comfortable with. But you don't have to, and I just wanted to demo that with this look, that you don't have to if you don't want to. These formulas allow for a little bit of blending. Now obviously this shade also has like a glitter and sheen effect through it, so if that's also something that you don't like bringing all the way up towards your brow bone, that will be another consideration for bringing in a matte. I don't really mind it so much, so I'm going to do it, but I just wanted to mention. And I'm applying the absolute tiniest bit of these eyeshadows. I'm not going in with a very like heavy hand, because these are formulas that can start to look very chunky and very textured on your lids if you are not careful and you go in with too much. And also if you want to blend it out, I feel like it's easier to blend them out if there's less of them. If you want to be real subtle, you can basically leave it at this intensity, but that is not at all the plans that I have for myself. But before that, I'm going to go into the taupe pink over here, because that one is also very intriguing to me. I think this one is going to be probably shinier. And I'm going to put that, oh yeah, this one is also a little bit more flaky, I feel like. And you can see those flakes immediately sticking to the lid and creating a little bit of texture. So you need to be extremely careful with this pink shade in particular. And I'm going to just try to lay a few of those flakes here as a contour, but not too much, because if we apply this also over the glitter glue, then it's definitely going to start looking chunky. I mean, you can apply it without it too, if that's the effect you're looking for. But an additional consideration for applying glitter glue, especially for those of you who struggle with this formula creasing on them, I do think that the primer together with the glitter glue really helps. And now I'm going to take my glitter glue, which is going to be the NYX one. And I know a lot of you are probably wondering, why am I not using my Pat McGrath Intensifies stick? There is a reason for that, but I will reveal the reason for that later on, because right now I'm in a somewhat of a testing phase. So I'm going to put this one basically all over the moving lid, where I want to apply the two metallic eyeshadows a bit more intensely. And now I'm going to essentially redo what I did before, which is take this blue shade and press it on where I applied the glitter glue, and I think you can immediately detect the dramatic difference that applying glitter glue can make to an eyeshadow like that. This looks immediately so much more impactful. Let me repeat that for both metallic shades. This blue is actually really pretty. I really like it. I'm going to apply the pink champagne taupe kind of shade. This shade would be really cool to just use, you know, with something neutral through your crease. I would really like to eventually test this pink champagne taupe shade in like a neutral look situation. Because now, of course, a lot of the accent is placed on the blue eyeshadow, and this pink one is probably getting a little bit lost in the mix, but I think it would look really pretty as like a lid shade if you're doing a neutral look. I'm cleaning off the Sonia G Worker Pro brush, and I'm going to give everything a nice little blend through my crease. Next, I'm going to re-intensify the little wink that I had before by taking this dark shade and now applying it more in like pressing motions, not really swiping too much, because again I want that sparkle to stay a little bit. Taking the champagne shade here as my inner corner highlight. Ooh, that is impactful. On my lower lashes, I want to go back into the black shade with the sparkles, but I'm first going to apply a little bit of Intensifies there, just so that shade has something extra to stick to. And now going in with the absolute lightest hand and trying to tuck this right underneath my lashes. I don't want it to go too far down, because then it looks really a bit too dramatic and smoky. And I'm still going to work in a little bit, so I don't want to look too crazy. And then I'm going to just give that a nice little blend. And I want to put a bright blue in my waterline, so I'm going to take this old Kiko eyeshadow stick in the number 43 and brighten up the waterline with that. It's not the same, I don't really have the same kind of like teal blue liner, unfortunately. That would have fit a lot better, but I can remedy that in a second. So now that I have something sticky in my waterline, I can go back with this shade here and apply that over top of the Kiko eyeshadow stick, because then I'm going to tonally be a bit more close to what's going on my lashes. It's still not the same blue, unfortunately. Like I said, I don't have the same shade of blue, but maybe it will help a bit. Obviously we need sparkle moment, so here is how this look is going to be like in very low lighting or artificial lighting. Just in case you hadn't recognized it already, lipstick is Sorcery from Lisa Eldridge. And what can I say? I actually quite like how the final look turned out. I'm particularly happy with the blush. Nymphet turned out to be such a successful shade on my cheeks. I don't know what you guys think, but I am like super enjoying it. As far as Lunar Nightshade goes, I am pretty happy with the look that I created. It is a little bit too crowded for my taste, in the sense that I would have really preferred to see the pink shade like all over the lid on its own, the blue shade all over the lid on its own, but for the sake of the video I just wanted to showcase as many of the eyeshadows as possible and do a look just using the palette so that you can see how that works. But like I said, to me you can sort of also split this eyeshadow palette in two color stories, which in a sense is nice because you can make it more versatile. Usually with like smaller curations of eyeshadows there is not so much that you can do, whereas in this case I do feel like there is quite a lot that you could do, especially if you play around a little bit with layering and the different ways that you combine the eyeshadows. So overall I think Lunar Nightshade is a really pretty quint. The quality is there, the eyeshadows are really beautiful. The only thing you need to ask yourself is whether these are the kind of blues that you like, because this is not a bright blue, it is not a royal type of blue, it is not really a teal kind of blue, it is more of a muted seafoam with that intense gold sparkle on it. And the other thing you need to ask yourself is, do you like purple shades like this? Because this is like one of the accent shades in this palette, and if you really dislike it, that could be a deal breaker for you as well. So overall, some things to consider when it comes to this quint, but the quality and the actual looks that you can create with it I think are really pretty and really versatile. And I'm going to leave you off with that. I hope that you enjoyed this first demo for the Bijoux Brilliance week. Let me know what you thought about this look. Let me know if you have Lunar Nightshade yourself. How do you feel about it? Let's continue chatting in the comment section below as usual. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!